now move on to our blockchain session. The first panel is titled Blockchain Technology and the Ecosystem Development in China and Worldwide. And the panel will be moderated by Alan Xin, COO of CoinDesk China. 下一个环节是区块链专场，第一场圆桌讨论是国内和全球区块链技术发展的趋势。有请圆桌主持 CoinDesk 中国的 Alan. The stage is yours, Alan.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our panel discussion today. This is a global satellite event in Beijing of Singapore FinTech Festival 2020, co-hosted by Monetary Authority of Singapore and Rome 360, Zhang Technology. I am Alan Xin, the Chief Operating Officer of CoinDesk China. Many of you may have known CoinDesk already. It is a leading media outlet specialized in blockchain and digital assets. So I'll be the moderator today of our panel. Blockchain is one of the hottest topics in the business world today. So we probably cannot talk about FinTech without mentioning blockchain. And blockchain's application is not limited within the financial world. So in our panel today, we're going to try to give you a big picture of blockchain's most recent development, both in China and around the world, as well as some valuable perspectives about opportunities and the challenge. So now please allow me to introduce our panel today. They're from different backgrounds, but all have extensive experience in blockchain. So today we have Zhang, Chief Strategy Officer of OnChain, Lechi Zhang, FinTech consultant working for World Bank, Edmund Zhou, Senior Technology Architect at Consensus. So now I'll have our panelists briefly introduce themselves. Let's start with Edmund, please.
Hi, everyone. This is Edmund from Consensus. So I work as a technical architect here. For my role as architect, we work closely with kinds of consensus such as enterprises and startups to solve real-world problems by leveraging blockchain technology, in particular Ethereum. So currently, we are working with multiple central banks in the region in building blockchain-based central bank digital currency, CBDC. And before joining Consensus, I work as a software engineer, and I also start my career in finance, in particular the areas of equities and equities derivatives. So nice to meet you all, and thank you once again for the invitation.
Okay, next, Lechi, would you please introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Lechi. I'm a FinTech specialist. I've been consulting for the World Bank, Bank of China International, and other international financial institutions over the past decade. And prior to that, I worked briefly in investment banking and private equity. Very glad to share my insight and observation today. But I want to make it clear that what I'm going to share are going to be my personal opinions and do not represent the position of my organizations. Thank you.
All right. Great. So Jinze, would you please talk about your background?
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Very glad to be here. It's Jinze from OnChain. OnChain is a worldwide blockchain solution provider founded in 2016. The company is the only blockchain company that has ranked as KPMG China's top 50 fintech companies for the 4 consecutive years. We are now focused on blockchain underlying technologies. Also, we are providing a lot of industry solutions, business operations, and ecosystem formations from consortium chain to public chain. Before joining OnChain, I worked as a research head of Binance China Blockchain Institute, and before that, I was a chief editor of the Wall Street CN financial media in China. At the beginning, I was I was working in the same industry as Alan is from accounting firm. So very glad to be here. Yeah, thank you, guys.
All right, thank you. So without further ado, let's start our discussion today. It's December now, right? Why not start with overview of blockchain 2020? So I want to ask Lechi first. So what's the key progress that has been made for blockchain in terms of technology development and application in 2020?
Yeah, I think the biggest change is the mainstream adoption. I think we have seen a lot of big players are moving into this space, like Grayscale and others. I think the biggest impetus or biggest innovation here is a regulatory innovation. So the reason why like companies like Grayscale can attract so much like liquidity is because it's regulated, it's compliant. So a lot of large institutional players are becoming more comfortable dealing with cryptos and dealing with blockchain technologies. I think that's a big improve. And also CBDC is definitely come together with this trend. Like the governments, the central banks are gradually realize the value of blockchain. So they're all gonna drive the mainstream adoption in the future.
Great, mainstream adoption. So Edmund, do you have any comments or do you agree with Lechi?
Yeah, I agree with that, and I would like to supplement like a couple of points. So I think in terms of the overview of 2020, we see mainly like three key areas that are making good progress. So the first one is the infrastructure, is the protocol. We see upgrades in terms of these like blockchain protocol, whether it's public chain domain. This morning, the Ethereum 2 went live with higher throughput and more like environmental friendly consensus algorithm. In the consortium blockchain space, consensus, we have acquired a Quorum, which is another blockchain technology from JP Morgan. And we also see that on the application side, on the public blockchain, we see, I think it has been a year for DeFi, decentralized finance. We see a lot of new financial primitives that are being expressed by smart contracts. And likewise, in the enterprise consortium space, we see more consortiums being established this year. And I was also agree this is a year of CBDC as well.
I see. So Jinzo, I was wondering, what's the most popular blockchain application in China in 2020 right now? So Jinzo, would you?
Yes. Got it. Before I answer this question, we should discuss the basic characteristics of the blockchain. A public blockchain usually has 5 characteristics, like decentralization, openness, autonomy, taper resistance, and anonymity. But in China's situation is unique. Anonymity and decentralization are not often needed, which means that the development of public chain in China is relatively limited. And the remaining features allows only permission or consortium chain to be widely used. However, the Chinese government are also very flexible, so there are some internal voice supporting the development of the public chains. So at least as a precedent, we see, although there is no direct national-wide policy support, the number of public chains originating from China should be the second only to that of the United States. So it's called Chinese characteristics. From the most popular adoption of blockchain definitely should be the permission chain, or should be the permission chain. And the notable trend of this year is the massive adoption mentioned by the other guests. But we are in the middle of this industry. From our side, we see a very notable feature of this year is a lot of clients start to consider the privacy computing features in their blockchain system. It's a lot of inquiries and orders are coming. We see this a very good sign and a very interesting trend. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, let's jump on more question about the blockchain application. So Edmund, in your opinion, what's the biggest challenge or hurdles at the current stage of blockchain?
I would say that the challenge is still driving adoptions, because for blockchain applications, they actually require a set of new mindset. So for example, in the retail space or for day-to-day user, we have a concept of their own, let's say, private key, etc. And in the consortium space, like when you form a consortium of different companies, how is the blockchain project being governed? How is the project like going to make decisions? So I think this is still what we see, some of the challenge that we see. And the way that we overcome this sort of challenge is, our belief is still is continue in doing more educations. So events like the Singapore FinTech Festival and the panel today are all very beneficial for the industry, and we should continue in doing that.
Great. So Lechi, I want to ask you too. So what's your take about the challenge?
Yeah, I definitely echo what Adam said. The adoption is definitely a barrier. Just because I have been mostly focused on enterprise solution, I can speak to this field. There is a huge gap between what the blockchain communities want to do and what their clients or their client base want to achieve. There is a mismatch basically. And like for example, give you a very straightforward cases is the confidentiality. In the traditional public chain, it's hard to keep all the addresses, all the players confidential. You can see the transaction, you can see the addresses, but that's definitely you can see a quote unquote disaster for the financial industry. So basically, in order to accelerate the adoption, you have to make sure you are actually addressing the needs of your clients. So that's something that I think is a barrier. But then we can see, as Adam said, we are building the bridges. We're building the forums for dialogues. I think that the education part is definitely is accelerated, and it's gonna basically we're building the consensus in this field, and I'm very positive. I'm very optimistic about the future partnership.
Great, I see. So we all know that the consortium blockchain and public blockchain are the two main type of blockchain, right? So consensus and on-chain, they all on the different sides. So I just wondering, so which would succeed in the near future, in your opinion? So consortium blockchain or the public blockchain? Jinzo, do you want to answer first?
Yeah. The usage scenario of these two products are very different. One is more personal, the other one is commercial. I think from the perspective of business operation, the ecology of a consortium chain will be more successful in China, at least. The number of the registration of blockchain related enterprise is increasing at a very high speed, with the total number already exceeding 48,000 this year, if I'm not wrong. I have at least, we already have at least tens of billions of dollars assets recorded in the consortium chain in China this year. And it is expected to show exponential growth in the next few years, I think.
I see. Okay, so Edmund, maybe you have a different opinion.
So when we look at consortium chain and public blockchain, in our humble opinion, we actually believe they will all succeed in their own way. We see, public blockchain, we see new upgrades of protocols, more innovative use cases around DeFi. In the consortium space, we see, more and more projects going into productions and all this. So we think they will succeed in their own way, and we actually are seeing more and more use cases that are taking like a hybrid approach. So we see, there are consortium chain. At some point, they want to leverage a global blockchain network for a global link settlement. So what we see is, I think the consortium and public blockchain, of course, depending on region to region, but we are seeing a trend that there's merging between these two.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So Lechi, I know you have been providing consulting for many corporates, organizations. And I know that our audience, probably many of them coming from traditional financial industry. So I want to ask Lechi, so how, in your opinion, how does the traditional financial industry look at blockchain? Do they take it as a threat or opportunity?
The short answer is definitely an opportunity. So I think we have seen most of the major banks, the mainstream banks, have adopted blockchain technologies, and some of them have even acquired blockchain startups. Just like Standard Chartered acquired their custody in Europe, and now we are seeing other banks are rolling out their crypto exchanges. So I think the biggest problem here for a financial institution to adopt is you have to make sure everyone is on board. So blockchain is essentially a consensus mechanism. So to maximize the value of blockchain, you have to make sure you have buy-in from everyone. I can give you one example. I'm working on the Polymath case. It's a digital securities platform. You need to have not just the issuers on board, not just the issuance platform itself is built. You need custody services to kind of make sure the token are safe. You need to have lawyers who understand both the technology and regulations, and you need payment solutions that can do the conversion between fiat and cryptos. And more importantly, you need institutional investors who are not just looking at the RNI, the return on investment, but also appreciate the efficiency and the transparency and trust on blockchain. So you have to make sure everyone are on board and making sure this one the product can succeed. So I think it requires time. It requires patience and time before this industry takes off.
Yeah, definitely require time and patience. So I think every one of you already know the CBDC is one of the hottest topic right now. So China is also testing the CBDC in several of these cities. What's your opinion about CBDC means for those blockchain projects of payment network and a currency? Does it also bring an opportunity or is it a challenge? So Lechi, do you want to talk about it?
I think it depends actually. So I've been in this field for about 5 years, and I know a lot of fintech and blockchain companies are trying to roll out their own stablecoin projects, and to them probably maybe not a good news, right? Because you are seeing all the central governments are moving the space and basically eating your pies. So, but then on the other side, the blockchain players who are relying on speedy payments infrastructure maybe are welcoming CBDC. They're always like in my case, they're always asking me whether their projects can be connected to the Chinese CBDC projects or the ones in Latin America. So they're very excited. So I think it really depends. Here, what we need is basically building the consensus. Based on my consulting experience, that no matter where you come from, it all requires like a consistent internal risk control and consistent the management policy between the two parties in order to have a successful partnership. But today, as I said before, you can see the cultures in the blockchain company and the cultures in the central banks are vastly different. So I think that right now what we need is to have the so-called cheerleaders to make sure the partnership can be built and cultures and the risk management policies are consistent.
Great. So Jinze, I know I wanted you to talk about it from blockchain projects point of view. So from on-chain, from Neo, or the other projects you are working for. What's your
actually, Chinese CBDC, or it's called so-called DCEPT. It's not really a blockchain product so far from the already known data. But CBDC joins the digital payment competition would draw more attention to digital currencies. This whole industry, the broad category. But the characteristics of the central bank, the DCEP, are fundamentally very different from the cryptocurrencies. One is closely monitored and regulated. The other one is completely free to transfer with highly anonymity, and their user base also different, very different. Which I think CBDC story is but I think CBDC's story is a marginal benefit to to the cryptocurrency so far. But for the consortium chain industry in China, the CBDC's main benefit is it is going to be a programmable currencies. It's the first programmable currencies so far. So it's going to bring a lot of exciting features to the industry. Yeah, thank you.
I see. Yeah, thank you. So Edmund, I know you actually currently working on a CBDC project, right? So could you talk about it, and what's your take about CBDC's impact?
Sure. So at Consensus, we work with multiple central banks in the regions on CBDC project, actually across different use cases. So these use cases include cross-border payment, retail, security settlement, etc. What we see, blockchain as a technology itself, it offers quite a number of new and interesting properties. These are such as distributed trust, immutability, and more fine control of transaction validation, such as compared to a centralized RTGS system for each of these domestic payment network. And because of these new properties, we see new and innovative features that can be developed on top on this CBDC, and these are such as programmability. So for use cases such as in the current let's say COVID environments, if central bank want to stimulate certain part of the economy, it becomes a new and interesting tools for them to use. We can have interest bearing cash. So this is actually a pretty interesting financial instrument which the bank can consider. And across different use cases, we can have real-time payment versus payment, or like a security delivery versus payment settlement, which currently for a lot of the stock exchanges, it could take up to like T+2 or T+3 days. So with all these new properties, what we see is a lot of these new features could be developed, and it's interesting to see how they will pay out.
So why not we start to talk about the future? So I wanted all of you to summarize, give us your prediction about the coming trend or the next big thing for blockchain. Let's start with Edmund first.
Sure. So for the upcoming trend, what we see is the merge between public blockchain and consortium blockchain. We see upgrades of protocols such as Ethereum 2 and some of this enterprise project like Baseline protocol. We are seeing more and more enterprises are leveraging the global blockchain network for different use cases. And what we see is a consensus or for all these entrepreneurs in the blockchain space, when we develop product, when we develop technologies, very often we are thinking on this product on how easily it can operate in both public and consortium network.
Okay, so Lechi, you want to be next?
Yeah, so I definitely gonna be future gonna be institutionalized. Just enjoying our experience in the P2P lending sector. It just started just like Bitcoin, pure peer-to-peer transactions, retail investor, retail players, and then platforms emerged to act like a broker. But then what we're seeing now is most of the liquidity providers in the P2P space, P2P lending space, are institutional like hedge funds or other institutional players. I think the same thing is happening to the blockchain community. So we're going to see more institutional exchanges like OSL, like others in Hong Kong, and also institutional players like Grayscale. And we're also going to see some government and regulator agencies. They're going to move in to support those institutionalization work.
Great. So Jinzhou, what's your prediction?
My prediction is real world assets get on board to the blockchain. Of course, there are two forms. One is simply record and issuing traditional securities on the blockchain. The other is using the IoT devices and the data recorded by multi-parties to generate a trusted data set on the blockchain. The later one is less rely on the centralized credit, and is more like a so-called native blockchain asset. Yeah, we are aiming to help companies to create more than $100 million USD in those assets in blockchain ecosystem next year. It's our company's goal. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. So I think our time's up. 30 minutes is very short. So today we were able to overview the blockchain development in 2020. Also, we talk about the opportunity and challenge, and then we also talk about this, some regulation impact and the future. Okay. So I would like to thank you all, the audience. Also, thank you our speakers. So I hope you enjoy our session today. I'm Alan Xin, CEO of Cointest China. Thank you very much.
谢谢 Alan 和所有原作嘉宾。Thank you to Alan and the panelists.